Okay, so we're going to cover the different types of inhibitors today, following on from my other enzyme videos. We're going to look at competitive and non-competitive inhibitors. So let's start with competitive inhibitors. So essentially, we can say that the substrate and the inhibitor are similar. Okay, so they're not exactly the same. Otherwise, it would just be the substrate. They're similar in shape, which means the inhibitor can actually fit into the binding place, into the active site, where the substrate usually would be. And this means that we're not able to form a product then. So we can say the complexes, a normal complex would be enzyme plus the substrate, makes enzyme substrate complex, which results in an enzyme product. Whereas with the inhibitor, we have an enzyme plus inhibitor in the same active site, so no product is formed. So let's have a think what implications this has experimentally. So we're going to have a think about the Vmax and the Km here. So the Vmax is actually equal to the Vmax inhibitor, and this is because when we increase the substrate concentration really high, it actually makes them equal because it's almost like a competition between the inhibitor and the substrate. But if we have loads of substrate, they're going to get in more, there's more chance of them getting into the active site than the inhibitor, so they're equal. And we can say the Km is not equal to the Km inhibitor. And this is because there's obviously going to be a stronger affinity if there's not an inhibitor. With an inhibitor, it's not going to be great. So let's talk about non-competitive now. So non-competitive is a little bit more tricky, but we'll keep it simple still. So we can actually say that the non-competitive complexes are going to be the same again, enzyme plus substrate. Remember, this is reversible to the enzyme substrate complex that makes a product. However, we can have an inhibitor binding to something that's not the active site this time. It's going to bond to an allosteric site somewhere else on the enzyme. And also this time, a little bit different, we can have an inhibitor binding to the enzyme plus the substrate, because remember, it's not being competitive for that active site, so it can be there as well as the substrate. And this is reversible as well. But experimentally, the Vmax is actually greater without the inhibitor. And this is because when we have an inhibitor, there is actually less product being made. Now this is because the actual total amount of active enzyme is obviously lowered. So we can say the Vmax is lower. However, this is a little bit strange here. So Km is equal to Km inhibitor. Now why would that be? So actually, the active site, if we think about it, is still free. It's always free. So the affinity is identical. So hopefully that will make sense and it's super simple for you to understand. I hope it was good.